Morning. We'll start today. Actually, last week we started this lesson, principles of economy, the demand, supply, and the market. I believe, as I can remember, we finished the demand side of the market. The demand side. The market. First slide, actually, we discuss the basic the structure of the economy, circular flow or diagram of the economy. What are the sectors, key sectors, household, government, firms, and the foreign sectors? What are the key markets, and what are the key the interactions, economic the activities, right? Demand side, supply side. Then the economic interaction, transfer, payments, the taxes, savings, government savings, private savings, household savings, like that. Import, export, trading. That is the basic structure of macroeconomic structure. Then we discuss the two sectors, government and the private sector. How does the government allocate resources? We said budget. Budget is the key instruments in allocating resources, allocating money among different sectors. Private sector, demand, supply, market forces is the key instrument in allocating their resources, their money, their investments, right? Then we discuss private sector. Now here we are talking about, we have separate lecture on the government budget. Here we discuss the private sector, private market. Market, we have buyers, sellers, and the market. But in some markets, you can't see buyer and the seller. We said that the stock market. Stock market, you can't see the buyer and the seller. E-trading, e-commerce. E-commerce, you can't see the buyer and the seller. Then stock market works mainly through the intermediaries, maybe banks, primary dealers, intermediaries. They are far away. Buyer and the seller, intermediaries. They are intermediate link them. Linkages with the financial institutions. That is also financial institutions. Then discuss the demand side. First, we discuss demand function. Demand function specify all the factors that affect the demand side of the market, quantity demanded for good. What are the factors? Price of the particular good or service, prices of other goods, maybe substitutes or complementary goods. Consumers' income must. Another key factor is taste, likes and dislikes. I like generally blue color shirts, right? Another person likes always the light blue or the brown shirts. His the likes and dislikes. Some doesn't like to drink milk. Some very much like. They love drinking milk, right? Taste. Then the expected future price. We said today's demand. This period demand depends on expected price in another period, future period. Today's demand depends on expected the price in the next period. Jewelry, necklace, jewelry. Demand for jewelry depends on the future price movement of the expected future price of gold. Now these days around more than 100,000. The soaring is around more than 100,000. If you expect this day, let's say 100,000. In the world market, the soaring prices are going up still. So if you expect next month, soaring price will be 150,000, then today's demand for jewelry increases. You want to buy now. You don't postpone. That's the link between expected price and the quantity demand. Then number of consumers. Then demand schedule is defined. You get the demand function, fix. Other factors, ceteris paribus. Other factors, other than the price, you fix other. Assume they are not variable, they are fixed. Then quantity demanded depends on price of the good only. Then if you draw this diagram between price and quantity demanded, demand curve generally for most of the goods, majority of goods you have the downward sloping demand curve. Demand curve is downward sloping. So shape of the demand curve is explained by the law of demand. Law of demand, we said, when other factors are held constant, other factors in the demand function, other than the price of the good, there is a negative relationship between price and quantity demand. That is called the law of demand. In economics, in Latin term, it is called the ceteris paribus. The ceteris paribus assumption is there in theoretical economics. The applied economics, it's very difficult to have this assumption is there, but very difficult to fix other variable. Therefore, there's a gap between applied analysis and the theory. Theory is there. For the theory, we have this ceteris paribus. If you analyze any market, this the foreign exchange market, or the supply side, demand side, the demand for imports, demand curve for exports, ceteris paribus assumption. Law of demand. Then we discuss supply side. Supply side, I think I discussed. Yes. Okay, I think this is the starting point. Like in the demand curve, we discuss supply function, supply schedule, supply curve. Supply function specify all the factors, include all the factors that affect the quantity supplied of a good or service. What are these factors? Quantity supply of paddy. Quantity supply of paddy depends on what? Paddy farmers are the suppliers. What are the factors that affect their decision for the paddy farmers to increase or decrease the paddy supply of paddy? First, farmers might think of price of the paddy. So they are the suppliers. They are not the consumers. Price. Then paddy farmers have to think about cost of production. Cost of production depends on wages, price of the fertilizer, price of the weedicide. Sometimes if they get a loan from the informal sector, the mudalali in the village, they have to pay interest also, either in kind or in money, right? Interest, right? Factors of production, prices of factors of production affect the cost of production. Then paddy farmer, sometimes some areas, sometimes they think about government regulation. Sometimes government think, okay, we have we give a subsidy price for the subsidized price. We are going to buy your paddy at 50 rupees per kilogram. Minimum price is there, right? Some period we don't have that kind of the government regulations, right? So government regulation matters for the paddy farmers. Think about price of paddy, the cost of production, or the prices of factors of production, government regulation, technology. Two types of technologies we said last week: labor intensive, capital intensive. Labor intensive, capital intensive. In the labor intensive technology, we use more machines, more labor, more people, less machines. Capital intensive, more machines are used, less labor is used, labor service is used. Capital intensive, labor intensive. Now with this, the technological development in the world, now more and more industries now moving towards from labor intensive to capital intensive. Even paddy farming, harvesting, long time ago, 1970s, 80s, latter part of 80s also, it's a highly labor intensive activity. Now it is becoming capital intensive activity. The new machines have been developed. You can cut very efficiently. You can harvest the 1 acre land. It might take around 1 hour to cut 1 acre land, 1 hectare land, 1 acre land. Right? Efficiency improvement. Technology always improves the efficiency. ATM machines, technology. 1970s, 80s, if you want to withdraw the 100 rupees, 150 rupees, you have to get your passbook and go to join the queue at the bank. Then you have to fill this slip with your passbook. You go to slowly move towards then to the customer counter, surrender this, then he enter. After that, he sent that to the inside the high officer. High officer call you and check your signature. Sometimes if he found some doubts, ask you to sign again, check the signature. Then again you come out and waiting for some time, a long time. Then this comes to the counter. Then only you get 110 or 500 rupees, right? Highly inefficient. Takes about sometimes 45 minutes. But here now it is ATM machine. They are very efficient. You need not to see the customer counter, right? You go to the ATMs, withdraw money, go home within 5 minutes time. These days, of course, these ATMs are a little busy, but in the under normal circumstances, normal period, nobody is there. Only 5 minutes time, you can get the money and go back, right? Then, like in the demand side, expected future price of paddy. Expected future price of paddy. Then, that is also one of the key factors to the quantity supplied of paddy today. Then, number of firms, number of suppliers, number of paddy farmers in the country, right? So this is called this complete function. This function is called supply function. Supply function specifies all the factors that may affect the quantity supplied of a good. Generally, supply function can be written as that. After that, what is the concept? Supply schedule. When other factors are held constant, what are the other factors other than the price of paddy? Prices of factors of production, government regulations, then technology, expected future price of paddy, then number of firms, suppliers. If they are not changing for a given period, if they are not changing, if they are fixed, then quantity supply of paddy depends only on price of the paddy. This called supply schedule. You can write down the numbers. When price is 10, what is quantity? Price is 5, what is quantity? Price is 15, what is quantity supply? Price is 20, what is quantity supply? What will happen when price increases? Paddy farmers want to increase their supply. There's a positive relationship. Generally, upward slope. Demand curve coming from us, actually, the consumers. When price increases, quantity demanded decreases generally. Supply curve, upward slope. The graphical representation of the supply schedule is called supply curve. Supply curve. It is called supply curve. Generally, it is supply curve. Supply curve. Right? Price and quantity supplied. I said that last week we discussed why in this supply schedule, price is the independent variable, quantity supplied is the dependent variable. I think last week we discussed. So generally, if you are a mathematician, if you are a mathematician, if you have done maths, you are doing maths, so we know in mathematics the independent variable is along the x-axis, dependent variable along the y-axis. But in this case, it is different. Independent variable along the y-axis, dependent variable is along the x-axis. This is the tradition. This supply curve is the other way around of the normal mathematical definition of the axis, dependent and independent variable. But in economics, we have another supply curve where P is along the x-axis, Q is along the y-axis. That supply curve is called inverse supply curve. Then normal supply curve, quantity supply depends on price. Inverse supply curve, price depends on quantity supply. Right? So we draw this one. We draw the other way around, actually, mathematically. So, but both are correct. Both are upward sloping, right? It's only just the classification. So, mathematics and the economics, the drawing curves are slightly different. No other difference, right? Right. Equilibrium price, very important. Equilibrium price clears the market for the product. It is the price at which the quantity supplied equal the quantity demanded. Demand curve, downward sloping demand curve, upward sloping supply curve. Point of intersection, mathematically speaking, point of intersection of the demand and supply curve is called the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, right? Why this equilibrium is important? How do we explain that? At that equilibrium price, at this price, P star and Q star. See the P star and Q star. P star, quantity demanded, Q star. Quantity supplied, Q star. That is interesting. Price P star, equilibrium price. So at that price, consumers are willing to buy Q star. Producers are willing to supply Q star. Both are happy. Their willingness, they are willing to buy Q star, consumers. Then producers are willing to sell Q star at that price. That's why it is called at the equilibrium price, both are happy. Both are happy. Quantity demanded exactly equal to the quantity supply. Quantity demanded exactly equal to the quantity supply. No excess demand, no excess supply. If there is excess demand, that does that mean shortage of the good. If there is excess supply, surplus of the good. But at equilibrium, both are happy. No excess demand, no excess supply. Demand equals supply. Quantity demand is equal to quantity supply. Right. And the equilibrium price clears the market for the product. It is the price at which quantity supplied equals quantity demanded. At price above the equilibrium price, at price above the equilibrium price, at price above the equilibrium price, let's say P1, equilibrium price P star, P1. You can see at B, the quantity supplied is shown by B. Quantity demanded is shown by A. Then what is the market situation? If the market price is at PA, there is excess supply. Why is that? When price is high, P star to P1, farmers want to supply more paddy, willing to supply more paddy, supply increases. When price increases, consumers are discouraged. Consumers want to demand, consumers will demand less than the Q star. At A, consumers' demand decreases from Q star to this point. Suppliers are happy. Their supply increases from Q star to this point. Suppliers are happy, consumers are sad. Because suppliers are happy, they want to buy more, supply more. As these consumers are sad, they want to buy less. Then there will be excess supply. When the price below this, equilibrium price, what will happen? Other way around, opposite of that. Consumers are happy. Market price is 1,000 rupees. If market price decreases to 500, I am happy. I am a consumer. I am happy. I maybe want to buy more of that good. Excess demand. Demand exceed the supply. The suppliers think actually P star, current price P2. P2 less than the equilibrium price. Market price though. Then they want to supply less. They are discouraged. Right? So therefore, there will be excess demand for the product. Now we do three things: excess supply, excess demand, no excess supply, excess demand. At the equilibrium price, no excess demand or excess supply. If the market price is above the equilibrium price, there is excess supply. If the market price is below the equilibrium price, there will be excess demand for the product. Sorry. At price below the equilibrium price, there is an excess demand. What is the excess demand or excess supply at the equilibrium? At the equilibrium, what is the excess demand or excess supply? No. At equilibrium price, at P star, demand equals supply. No? There is no excess demand or excess supply. Right? What is the equilibrium meaning of equilibrium? At equilibrium, stationary state, both parties are happy. The consumers are willing to buy the same quantity Q star at the equilibrium. Producers are willing to sell same quantity at the equilibrium at that price. Right? Equilibrium. Another meaning, equilibrium. Equilibrium, another meaning. For example, let's say in this class, there are 50 students. At a particular point, 5 people are going out, 5 are coming in. Next time, 6 going out, 6 coming in. Then what is this? The total overall position, no change, 50. That is the equilibrium. Excess equilibrium means not that the fixed constant. Something happening. Outflow is equal to inflow. Outflow equals inflow. Then that is also equilibrium. Right? No change. It's a constant, steady state. Right? Something happening. Right? And in the case of market equilibrium price, both are happy. Suppliers and the consumer all are happy. Right? Okay. Now I will discuss another important the aspect about to understand this one. Now these days, exchange rate, dollar rupee exchange rate, market rate. As I can remember, last night, I checked with that 202 rupees. 202 rupees for dollar, US dollar. Let's assume that is the equilibrium price announced by the central bank, equilibrium price. Now, but in the market, what will happen? Rupee dollar rate is 230. Higher than that, lower than that, right? So the equilibrium price is it's very difficult to determine directly in the case of foreign exchange market. Now what in the outside market, what will happen? There's excess demand for dollars. There is a shortage of dollars. Now today's newspapers, some parents are complaining they are not in a position to send the money to the children studying abroad. So you can't buy when you go to the bank. Bank doesn't have enough the dollars. Then if you go to the market, money changes, or some informal market, people might say it is 230, 250 per dollar. Huge excess demand, right? In the formal market, there is a shortage of dollars. Informal market, there are dollars, but the price is high. In the informal market, people know. Formal market is the formal market is having a problem. They don't have dollars. Now we can sell, whereas the people are coming to our side, there will be excess demand for dollars. Then price increase. They increase the price. There's a market excess demand for dollars. So it is the official rate and the informal market rate is nowadays it's huge. Gap is huge. But the pre-COVID period, normal market and the informal market, you don't say black market, informal market, there's not that much of gap. Now what will happen? Official and the formal and informal market gap is now rising. 202, 215, 20, 30, like that. Why this gap is daily rising? Why is that? Excess demand is creating. These parents go and buy. They might go to the informal market and money changers and other informal the sellers to buy dollars. Today they say 230 per dollar. Tomorrow if they go 235, because the requirement is rising, there will be excess demand for dollars. Now that is another example to understand you to the meaning of excess demand. These days there's excess demand for dollars, because informal market banks have some constraint restrictions on the issuing dollars. For example, the most of the banks doesn't issue currencies for the people. Those who are, one of my friend's son is studying, has got the placement in US. He phoned me. He's one of my friends. He phoned me. This is happening. He just want to buy. Everything is there. He want to buy for this petty cash. As a petty cash, he want to give this son $1,000. No banks issuing $1,000. They say no. Then he check with the informal market. It is 230, 250, right? So I don't know what happened, because I suggested something. If the in some cases, those who are frequently travel, go abroad, they have some dollars. I asked him to check with those the people or some friends maybe having some dollars, right? So even their friends, they want to sell dollars at a very high price. He said yes. Now there are some people, but they don't want to sell at this time. Right, that is the dollar scarcity is there. Actually, we are discussing the theory. I just want to give the example, real life example of excess demand, meaning of excess demand, Right. I think we discussed here quantity demanded, quantity supplied, equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity, and the excess demand and excess supply. Now we'll move to, when you draw the demand curve and the supply curve, we have the assumption, ceteris paribus. Other factors are held constant. Through the demand curve, we assume other factors, prices of other goods, consumers' taste, expected future price of the good, number of consumers, constant. Along the supply curve, other factors, constant. Prices of factors of production, then the technology, government regulations, number of suppliers, expected future price, constant. Now this section, we are going to ask, suppose, now we draw this demand and supply curve. Suppose we change one of these other factors, one of the other factor. Let's say take the demand curve. You draw the demand curve assuming other factors are held constant. Other factors, if you change this, one of the constant factors, what will happen? For example, demand curve is drawn. Income is, when you draw the demand curve, income is 5,000. Suppose income increases to 10,000. Then what will happen? People have more money, more income. Then we will demand more of that good. Whole demand curve shifts when income increases. One of the factors that were held constant. Right? Suppose income decreases. Now these days, because of this COVID, people, especially self-employed people, their income went down. Demand for all the goods, demand for the goods and services, food items, non-food items, entertainment items, the decrease. Why? Demand is the income less the income went down. Therefore, what will happen? Demand for particular good, let's say, demand for the let's say demand for clothing. When demand decreases, income decreases, demand curve shifts down. Pre-COVID, post-COVID. Pre-COVID, post-COVID demand. Demand decrease. Why is that? Income decreases. So like that, if you change one of the other factors, demand curve sometimes shifts up or shifts down. The demand curve is drawn assuming other factors are held constant. What are those other factors? In the case of demand curve, there are prices of related goods, maybe substitutes or the complementary. For example, if you say price of chicken, price of beef, price of fish, they are substitute product for this one. Price of eggs, substitutes. Price of these are the. Then the chicken, then the price of vegetables, price of rice, maybe they are complementary. In the case of substitute goods, you consume either chicken or fish, chicken or beef, right? Chicken or mutton. In the case of complementary goods, consumer consumes both together, rice and curry, fish and chips, chicken and rice, complementary goods. So therefore, these are the related goods, prices of related goods. The income of a consumer, consumer's taste or preferences, and number of consumers also. Right? When one of these factors change, the demand curve shifts, whole demand curve shifts up to the right or shift down to the left. An increase in price of chicken will shift the demand curve for fish to the right. Now this is drawn market for fish. Along the y-axis, please take down. Along the y-axis, you have price of fish. Along the x-axis, you have quantity demanded of quantity of fish. It's a fish market, price and the quantity. Chicken is substitute product for the fish. Quantity demanded of fish depends on, we'll go to the board. Right. Now, can you see the board? Can you see the board? If you can't see, tell me. If you can't see, please tell me. Now, quantity demanded of fish. Quantity demanded of fish. If you can't see the board, please tell me. Price of fish. Price of chicken maybe. Other factors also, consumers' income, consumers' taste, expected future price of fish, number of consumers, like that. Right? Now, in the case of quantity demanded of fish, if these factors are held constant, what will happen? It depends on price of fish only. Quantity demanded, you draw the demand curve, quantity of fish, price of fish. Then demand curve is like this. This demand curve is drawn assuming these factors are held constant. Chicken price is constant, no change. Suppose now chicken price increases, let's say supply curve also drawn here. Initial equilibrium price is here. Initial equilibrium price is there. Equilibrium price P star, Q star. Equilibrium price. Along this demand curve, price of chicken constant. Let's say price of chicken is around the 800 rupees or 1000 rupees per kilogram. Every point 1000 rupees per kilogram. These are demand for fish. Now suppose price of chicken increases. increases. What will happen? Demand for fish, price of chicken, substitute product, this one increases. What will happen to the quantity demanded of fish? Quantity demanded of fish, chicken is expensive. Then what will happen? Demand for fish increases. Demand for fish increases. Demand for fishing. Earlier, initially we assume it is 1,000 rupees per kilogram. Now it increases to 1,500. Other factor, all the other factor is constant. Now we are talking about this one of the fixed factors, chicken price. Increases, then what will happen? Chicken is expensive. Now people will shift their demand for the fish. Demand increases. As a result, what will happen? At every price now there will be higher demand for fish. At every price, this price of chicken 1,000. Now chicken is expensive. This is the demand for fish. Now demand increases. At this price, demand for fish increases because earlier it was 1,000, chicken price 1,000. Now 1,500. Therefore, demand for fish increases. As a result, every price people increase the demand for fish. Demand curve shifts DD to D1, D1. D1, D1. Every price, every point. Now what will happen? New equilibrium price, fish is higher than Q1 star, P1 star. Equilibrium price increases. Equilibrium price of fish. Equilibrium price of fish increases. Equilibrium price of fish increases. Increases to that. Understand? Now these days, okay, I will discuss another example. Now this is the situation. Now I will take another example. Okay, for example, now one of the factors change. Now this factor is what? Price of chicken. Price of chicken increases. As a result, demand for fish increases. When price of chicken increases, demand for fish increases. When price of chicken decreases, demand for fish decreases. If chicken is cheap, people cut down the demand for fish, price of fish decreases. If price chicken increases, quantity demanded fish increases. They are moving the same direction. In the case of substitute good. Now let's another example, well-known example. These days, the example, let's say the fish market. Price of fish, same. Equilibrium price. Initially, demand curve for fish, downward sloping, supply curve upward sloping. Equilibrium price and the quantity. Now, along this demand curve, what are fixed? Price of chicken. This is second example, right? First example, second example. Now, this time we are going to change. Earlier we changed only the price of chicken. Other factors change, constant. Of these other factors, we change only chicken price here. Now, let's say of these other factors, we change consumers' taste. Consumers' taste for fish decreases. Consumers' taste for fish decreases. What will happen to the demand for fish? Tell me. Consumers
Demand
taste.
curve decrease.
Demand, yes, very good. Because this is one of the important event these days happening. What is happening here? People, because of this the ship burning of fish, people start in the short run. They didn't want to buy fish. They didn't want to eat fish. They might go for other things. Right? Demand for fish decreases. Only the taste changes. Taste changes. As a result, demand curve shift down. Then what will happen? The price decreases. This happens. This happens. Demand curve shifts. This happens. Initially, the price, people couldn't sell fish. Nobody want to buy. Nigambo area, Jal area, this fish market, people were complaining. No one is coming. COVID is another reason, but because of this, the explosion of ship, burning of fish, the people was they were thinking of this fish is now contaminated. We should not eat. Nitric acid there. Then these polythene pellets were there. So it's a poisonous. Therefore, we should not to buy eat fish. Taste decreases. Taste decreases. Demand for fish decreases. Demand curve shifts to the left, down. As a result, price of fish decreases. These are two examples. Increase in price of chicken, decrease in taste of fish on fish, right? Good example. Let's go through that. Okay, we'll go to this next slide now. Right, කරන්න කොහොමද?
හයි කියලා.
මේ කියන්නේ right. නැත්තම් ගන්න කොහොමද ඒකේ දොර හයිට් කරලා මෙතනට එනවනේ. Right, okay. Right, this is now we have come to this slide again. An increase in price of chicken will shift the demand curve for fish to the right. We drew the diagram. We discuss another example. The decrease in consumers' taste on fish. Shift the demand curve to the left. Second example. As a result, price decreases. Now, this demand-supply diagrams is a very important tool in economics. Very important tool. You can illustrate most of these the concepts in practical, in applied economics in the country, right? Price of fish decreases. This decreased because of this issue in the ship burning of fish, right? Why is that? Can you illustrate using demand supply diagram? Chicken, price of chicken, expensive, when price of chicken increases, demand for fish, the price of fish increases. Can you illustrate this using the demand supply diagram? So this is a very powerful tool in economics. Using, if you are flexible, if you are very conversant about the demand supply diagram, you can show anything. Right? For example, let's say initial demand for dollars. If demand for dollars increases, what will happen? Demand curve shifts for some reasons. So for some reasons, price of a dollar increases. Price of a dollar increases. Exchange rate increases 202, 203, 205, like that. Right? That is another aspect of this one. So using this demand supply, you have to understand clearly this demand supply framework. Then you can explain anything. Now, other thing is, if you come across with the problem issue at home also, you think that the fish is expensive, vegetable expensive. Why is that? Why is that? Vegetable is expensive. Why is that? Is that due to the weather factor or the government regulations, or the technological issue? Then you draw the diagram and think about that. You can think of and draw the diagram, right? That's a very important, strong, powerful the framework, demand supply. Let's go to the next one. Right. Name 3 factors that would shift the demand curve for fish to the right. Okay, now it's up to you. Tell me. Now, one of these is increase in price of chicken. That is one factor. Tell me another 2 factors that shift the demand curve.
Consumer income increase.
Sorry? Consumers'
Consumer
income.
income increase.
Very good. When consumers' income increases, demand for fish, people start buying more of all goods. More of most of the goods. Sorry?
Positive change in consumer taste.
Consumer taste, positive change in consumer taste. Good. People think, okay,
Future expectation increase.
Expectation, future expectation, expected price increase.
Increase in population.
Increase in population. Good. Increase in consumer. When population increases, number of consumers who consumes fish increases. Good. Very good. These are the factors that shift the demand curve for fish to the right. Again, demand curve, 3 factors that shift the demand curve to the left, we discussed. Earlier we discussed taste. Actual example, taste. Recent example, taste, negative change in taste, shift the demand curve down. Like that. Other factors you can fall in consumers' demand. Now, this same thing happened during tsunami period 2004. Tsunami period, people didn't consume big fish. Small fish, okay. Big fish, huge drop in price of big fish. Then again, same thing. During tsunami period, there was a belief that most of the carcasses, human bodies, dead bodies, went to sea. Then these big fish ate those, swallow those things. As a result, there's a taste, consumers' taste change. People didn't want to buy big fish. Small fish, okay, like that. General drop in price was there, especially for big fish. Price went down. Taste. Draw diagram to show the impact of increase in consumer income on the equilibrium price of fish. One of you just now you said that when consumers' income increases, price of fish, demand for fish increases, price of fish increases. Draw diagram to show the impact of people liking the imported canned fish. Then what will happen? People start buying not the sea fish, canned fish, imported canned fish. What will happen in the demand curve? Demand for fish. Demand curve. People start liking, demand curve.
Shift to left.
Shift to the left. Good. Really, people start liking import. Now, I don't know the exact reason. These days in the supermarkets, the canned fish, there's a huge scarcity of canned fish. No canned fish. I guess people they start eating the canned fish these days. They decrease the demand for fish. Right? They don't want to buy. It might be the reason canned fish. In the shelves, no canned fish. Right? So therefore, when people start liking the imported canned fish, that means people's taste shifts, changes. Taste for fish negatively change. As a result, demand curve shift down. Equilibrium price of fish decrease. Right. Supply curve. Now, similar to this demand curve, we can discuss supply curve of fish. Supply curve. Now, normal diagram is drawn, demand and supply curve, assuming other factors are held constant. Now, diesel price. Diesel is one of the key input to fish, catching fish, right? You need to go to the deep sea, these boats, the multi-day boats, they need lots of diesel. Diesel is a key input, key factor of production. When this price of factor of production, if the price of diesel decreases, what will happen? Fisherman thinks, okay, diesel is cheap. Now we can stay more days in the sea. in the sea and catch more fish. Understand the argument? Earlier, diesel price is the 125 per liter. They stay, they go to the fishermen, the boats, they go to fish and they stay about 2 weeks time. Now, diesel price all of a sudden, for some reason, decreased to 100 rupees. 100 rupees per liter. Then fisherman thinks, okay, why not we stay another 1 more week? If you have other infrastructure, you have the decreases, then you stay another day, another 2 3 days and catch more fish and come back. So therefore, supply increases, supply of fish increases. Supply curve shift to the right, shift to the right. Shift to the right, that means you are on the supply curve. Supply increases mean supply curve shift to the right, down. Decrease in the diesel price will shift the supply curve of fish to the right. Then what will happen? Fish price decreases because now more and more fish in the market. More and more fish in the market, price decreases. Price decreases, right? That is why is that? We change one of the other factors, prices of factors of production. Earlier it was constant. Now we change that, price decrease. Similarly, if number of the suppliers increases, number of suppliers. Now these days, what is happening? Okay. Now this is another example. Another example is that the recently is recent incident, this burning of this. I can't remember the name of that fish. Very famous. What is the name of that fish? Sorry, name of that ship. Name of the ship. Name of the ship. Can you remember, one of you? Name of the fish. The name of the ship they burned out. What is that? Express. Yeah. What is that? Tell me. Yeah, correct. Express Pearl burn because of the nitric acid burn there. So there's a burn down. It was burned. So we ruined that but because this. So when that happened, you may remember. So the this Nigambe area, their fish nets were destroyed. And they can't use that. Fish nets is one of the inputs. Then what will happen? You can't go to fish. You can't go to sea. You don't have the fishing nets. As a result, what will happen? Supply of fish decreases. Supply curve shift to the left. Shift up. If that is one of the inputs. This is a destruction of some of the inputs. As a result, supply fish. They can't go to the sea for some times, right? Still, I think most of these fishermen can't go to sea. Again, they have been compensated. I saw some insurance company, this local insurance agent has given some millions of rupees. Now government is now distributing this money among these affected fishermen, right? So when fishing nets going destroyed, you can't go to fish. Supply decreases. Supply decrease means supply curve SS shift to the left. Now this price decrease in diesel price, supply curve shift to the right. Name 3 factors that would shift the supply curve of fish to the right. Fish to the right means increase in supply. Tell me, decrease in oil prices, diesel prices is one of the factors. Other factors, other 2 factors, tell me.
Technology increase.
Improvement in technology. Very good. Improvement in technology. Then
Decrease in taxation.
Decrease in taxation. Yes. Decrease in taxation. Yes. That is improvement in technology. Sorry?
Decrease in cost of input.
Decrease in cost of inputs. Decrease, no? It is supply cost shift to the right, no? That means supply increases, no? Good. Very good. Right? So all these factors, if they negatively affect, the supply cost shift to the left, supply decreases. Draw diagram to show the impact of government decision to sell diesel to the fishermen at 1/3 of the prevailing market price on the equilibrium price of fish. This was one of the government policies previous government, they have this policy decision was there. They tried this. Fishermen were given some subsidized price for diesel, right? So then what will happen? Price of diesel decreases. As a result, people might think of staying more days in the sea and catch more fish. Price of fish, the fish supply increases. Now this is the situation. Now you have to draw the diagram. Demand curve, supply curve. Because of this, the subsidy, supply increases. Supply curve shift to the right. Fish price decreases. Theoretically, fish price decreases. According to this textbook model, you can say fish price should go down if the government give this subsidize the oil, diesel for the fishermen, right? That is happening. Right. Now the next slide, very important. Price controls. Price control. Now up to now we have discussed market forces are free to move up and down. Free to move up and down. But sometimes government intervene. Government affect this free movement of demand and supply. Market determination of prices through the interaction between demand and supply. Government, especially government, they fix prices. Sometimes they impose maximum price. Maximum price for rice. Government issue the gazette. Recently, government issued so many gazettes have been issued, right? I don't know the implementation. Now the gazettes, the thing is, government can issue a gazette. They can pass the order. Low. Price of a kilogram of rice should not exceed the 100 rupees per kg. It's a gazette. No, law is there. Implementation part is difficult. Law is there. We have so many laws, but implementation is the issue, right? But the thing is, gazette says it should be 100 rupees, but in the market it is 150, 130. Now this Supiri Kiri Samba, as I said, it is 205, 210. The red Kakulu is still around 95, the 98, 100, right? So, the depends. Now, what will happen? Issuing of gazette control prices. There are two types of price controls policies of the government, right? Maximum price. Maximum price is also called ceiling price. Ceiling is there, no? You can't go above that. That is ceiling price. Max, P max. Floor price. Floor price means you can't go below minimum price. Ceiling price, floor price. Maximum price, minimum price, right? So these are the two types of policies government control. Government has the control, right? So the thing is, remember, imposing a law, passing a law and issuing a gazette is one thing. Implementation of that is the most difficult part, right? In the case of rice, gazette is there. If you want to check whether these traders comply with this gazette, you have to go. You need huge, large number of workers, number of officers. You have to go and catch every person. Not only that, you can seize their activities. Then you have to catch them, put them into court. Some penalties should be imposed. Court should be employing penalties. Cost of implementation of this law might be huge than without this gazette. That is sometimes some economists argue like that. Cost of implementation is huge. No point of the issuing gazette. Right? Cost, you need everywhere, every corner you have rice. You have boutiques. You can rice. Village level, supermarkets level, Sunday fair, lots of rice markets separately. Then it's very difficult to implement. Therefore, a law will fail. People will not comply with this the gazette, right? That's the thing that's happened. That is happening here today in Sri Lanka. That is happening because the government intention is very clear. You can't blame the government also. Government intention is very clear because rice is a staple food, rice is essential. We should give these poor consumers cannot afford these high prices, 150, 200 rupees. Therefore, we should control. We should put some ceiling price, maximum price. How do they do that? Use your gazette. Government intervention is very clear to protect the consumers. Then implementation part is, again, some responsibilities there with the government. Implementation part is done by the price control department. So that they don't have sometimes enough resources. They don't have enough people, enough officers, enough money to go through. So that's the conflict. Intention is clear, but implementation is bad. Implementation is very difficult to implement those rules. That is, we are talking about in the case of rice market, ceiling price, maximum price. Then another type of the price is minimum price, minimum wage. In the case of labor market, there are lots of minimum wage for especially these informal the activities, minimum wage for carpenters, minimum wage for the masons, right? Minimum wage for helpers, right? In the labor department, time to time they issue this minimum price, minimum wage for some the employment categories, occupational categories. Right? There are huge number of large number of the gazettes. Is the minimum wage laws. Labor department legally define minimum wage. This one. Right? Another example, minimum wage, minimum price for the paddy. Government says, okay, market price, the trader should buy paddy from the sellers or the farmers at 50 rupees per kilogram. That is the floor price. That is the minimum price, right? So the minimum price either is going minimum price or the minimum wage. So here that government has two types of price control: minimum, maximum. Minimum means the floor price, maximum means the ceiling price, right? Then what will happen? What will happen to the market? Now market forces, they are not free. They are binding. Government regulations are there. They are binding now. They can't move up and down freely. Right? Now government says one thing. Don't charge price higher than so much, this much. Don't pay wage less than this. Like that. Right? So binding constraint is there. Binding constraint. Right? Then what will happen? Tell me, do you think, now we'll discuss, I'm going to have a word from you, your intention. Do you think the in a free market, should the government control the prices? Should the government impose the minimum, maximum price for commodities? What do you think? Tell me. Should the government control the price? Let's say maximum price, ceiling price. Should the government control the price? If so, yes. What do you think?
Yes.
For what
Yes.
items? All the items, or what items?
Essential item.
Essential items, okay. Like food item, medicine, right? Medicine, right? Especially medicine, right? Then, okay. Now, any other answers? Should the government control? Everybody agrees? Should the government control the price? Right? You said yes, okay. I might say no. Why is that? Let's see what will happen. Because in our country, during 1970s, 70s, 75, 70s, almost all the consumer items had control prices. Control price. It's a control regime. Government, everything was controlled. Maximum price was there, right? Everything. So then 78, 79 government, they relax this control price regime. They move from free market regime. they did away with this. They remove these price controls and they let the people to decide, private market to decide the things, price of things by interaction between demand and supply. Right now, again, recently, because after this COVID, now there's a thinking of this is coming on now. Government should intervene and control the prices. Control the prices. Now you have a good example. Prices. Government control the price of rice. Good. It satisfies you all. You all agree, control prices. But it's not working. Implementation is bad. Right? What will happen? Now we are going to discuss adverse effects of controlling prices, imposing control, price control, cost of implementation. Right? Let's see now. Now this is now this diagram is wrong actually. This diagram here that I have to. This is the maximum. Let's say maximum price, ceiling price, maximum price. So the maximum price, P max. Market determined price is PE. PE. Now that diagram is also correct. Let's discuss first ceiling price first, maximum price. Market determined price is PE. Market determined price. So the government, let's say food items, essential items, let's say food price, PE is the food price. Government think this price is too high. Some people cannot afford some ceiling price, maximum price. So maximum price is imposed below the market clearing price, PE. It should be good. Government think this market determined price, market clearing price is high. Therefore, government put the control price, price control, ceiling price below that level. Obviously, that should be the case. Good. Now what will happen? Yes. Ceiling price is imposed below the equilibrium price. Now what will happen? Market price is low, lower than the equilibrium price. Who is happy? Consumers are happy. They demand more at L, indicated by L. Their demand this one. Suppliers are sad. Earlier, they could have sold their item at PE. Now government say, no. You can't charge PE. You have to sell this at lower price, P max. Then they cut down the supply. They reduce the supply to K. Now what is the market situation? Market situation, demand exceed the supply. Consumers increase their demand, suppliers decrease, cut down their demand, there will be excess demand for the product. Excess demand in the market. Shortage of the product in the market. Excess demand for the market. Excess demand for the market. Sorry, excess demand in the market. Right? Excess demand. When the government impose this ceiling price. Then what will happen? Excess demand means shortage. Shortage of the good. Shortage of the good. Demand exceed the supply. Then what will happen? Shortage of the good. When you go to buy things, supplier said, no, it's over. No more things. No more. Excess demand. Right? Excess demand, but suppliers had this one. They say there's no demand. Then what will happen? There will be black market. One of the adverse effects of controlling prices. Black markets. Now, sometimes governments, there's an argument these days, the fertilizer issue. Fertilizer issue, government says there are enough fertilizer in the market. But farmers say no, they don't have enough fertilizer. Then government say hoarding. Recently, you can check this with the television. They say that some traders have hoarded fertilizer in the market. Why is that? Because now they think there is a excess demand for this good, excess demand for the chemical, fertilizer, chemical fertilizer. They can sell, charge higher price, those things, the hoarding. The black market is there. When the price control is there, of course, the fertilizer case is not a good example. They didn't control the price. When the government impose the control price, what will happen? Consumer demand will exceed the suppliers' supply. There will be excess demand for the good, shortage of the product in the market, black market. There will be black market. When there's a black market, anything can happen. Long queues to buy things, rationing, first come first serve basis. Trader might say, okay, I have stuff, but I can issue only for first 100 consumers. 100 consumers I can issue. Stuff is there, is hoarding 100 consumers. Backdoor selling, right? Then the black market, rationing, long queues, those things happen. Those are the side effects of price control. Price control, right? You don't have first-hand example about the price control, but your parents might have first-hand example about the price control. Those days, I will give one or two example. My experience. In 1970s, 77 period, I was a small boy. I was doing, I think, O-level or A-levels. Yes, O-levels. Yes, I'm old now. Remember? Then those days, everything was controlled. Price of bread, control prices. So now it is there. Chunpang is coming now. So it's free market. You can buy. Now those days, bread prices are controlled. Cement prices control. If you want to get married, you have to show the registration card for the to buy shooting material or the saris or these things, right? Price control. Cigarette prices control. Medicine prices control. Please, today this is assignment. Please go and talk to your parents, right? Yes, parents might have some idea about this, or if not, the grandparents, right? The experience they had during 1970 to 77 price regime, right? Then what happened? As a small boy, first thing in the morning, I go and join the queue. For what? To buy 2 loaves of bread. In the morning, we ate bread, 2 loaves of bread, right? So it's a long queue is there, right? Then what will happen? Big people are there, they are pushing us. So we just go and join the queue again at the end. To come, slowly come. And finally, sometimes you are not able to buy 2. They might say, okay, it's over, I can give you 1. Right? That is that's happened. So we wasted about 1 or 2 hours at the queue. The transaction cost. Cost is huge. Time is money. Right? So we wasted. Myself and my brother. We joined the queue, and this is happening. This was everywhere. Inefficient allocation of resources, right? When you control the prices, these are the side effects of the control prices. The recent example is the government had issued this gas notification, but it is not implemented properly. So there are huge price increases, low market. Its government intention is clear, controlling price to give relief to the people, but implementation part is bad. So these are the arguments against price control, consumer price control, right? Okay, price control will result, consumer price will result black markets, hoardings, queues, then the other types of the selling mechanism, first come first serve basis. But in a market economy, first come first serve basis is not there. You go to the market, whatever the amount you want, if you want to buy 10 loaves of bread, you buy and come back. And they are willing to sell. Somehow they want to, they finish the stuff, they sell, right? They can buy. But earlier days, it was not the case, control price. Now we go to the minimum price, floor price. Minimum price is what? Minimum price is imposed above the equilibrium price. What is the thinking of the government? Government thinks, if you let market forces to determine the price of paddy, it will be during the harvesting period, it will be very low. Also to protect farmers, protect suppliers. Maximum price is to protect consumers. To protect farmers, government impose a minimum price. Minimum price is above the equilibrium price, above the market clearing price. So farmers are happy. During the harvesting period, paddy price goes down to around 20 rupees, 30 rupees per kilo. We start 30 rupees. The government guaranteed price, this is called guaranteed price scheme. GPS price 50. Government say, don't buy the price. Government gives signal, we are going to buy, or the paddy marketing board will buy your stuff at 50 rupees per kg. Then people are happy. Farmers are happy. Then what will happen? Farmers want to sell more paddy to the paddy marketing board. At B, supply higher. Right? Then what will happen? Demand, what will happen? Demand will be less. Demand will be less. Because the private traders are the buyers. Traders are the buyers. Traders say, no, this price is, we could have bought this price at paddy at P star. Now in this market, remember, farmers, suppliers, traders are the buyers. Different from consumer market, right? Traders might decrease the demand. Farmers are willing to supply more paddy at PC. Traders cut down their demand. Then what is the market situation? Excess supply of paddy in the market. At B, supply is this much. A, vertical line. B, supply at B higher than the demand at A. There will be excess supply of paddy in the market. Excess supply of paddy. That is interesting. Then what will happen? If the government has imposed minimum price. If the government wants to maintain this minimum price policy, they have to clear that excess supply. Buy that excess supply of paddy, AB distance. Buy that excess supply. Otherwise, what will happen? If the government allow excess supply, if the paddy marketing board doesn't have money to buy this excess supply, paddy price automatically will go down. Backdoor selling. Paddy farmers will have to compel to sell paddy at P star. Paddy farmers, private traders will say, okay, we can't pay you PC per kilo. We'll pay you P star. Sometimes less than that. Poor farmers are helpless. Paddy marketing board is not buying paddy. They are compelled to sell paddy at lower price. Another side effects. Side effect, if you impose the minimum price, there is this particular example, if the paddy marketing board is not willing to buy, if they don't have enough resources, money to buy paddy from the farmers, it is not effective. So sometimes during the harvesting season, you can say the farmers with this filling this stuff on the small tractors, they are waiting at this government, the paddy marketing board purchase points. Sometimes 1 week, 2-3 days, 1 week they are waiting. Then this government the paddy marketing board, this buyer might say, we don't have enough resources, money has not come. Sorry, we can't buy your paddy today. Another day, you can't buy. Third day, you can't buy. Then what will happen? They go to and sell their stuff to the private traders, those who buy paddy at definitely less than the market clearing price. Sorry, minimum price. These things will happen. These are again the side effects of adverse effects of floor price. We discussed adverse effects of ceiling price, adverse effects of floor price. Now another assignment, today's assignment is I want you to talk to your father or the grandfather about the very funny policies were there those days, 70 to 77 period, right? If you want to buy 2 bags of cement or the 3 bags of cement, you have to show the government approved the building plan to the CWE. Then only they issue. Sometimes they issue, if you want to buy 10 bags, they say they will issue, okay, now we don't have enough stock, we will buy 3, come next time. With that certificate. right? If you want to buy, the funny thing is shooting material or the sari material from the CWE. CWE is the monopoly, right? Very few private traders. You have to show your registration, copy of your registration. That one, right? So this kind of funny policies were there. Please speak to, have a chat with your mother or the father or the grandmother or the grandfather about their experience during the 70 to 77 period. So the now some people say it was good. Policy was good in the long run. In the long run, less imports, no imports at all. In the long run, our food production might increase, right? So nowadays, now some economists argue it was a mistake, bad example. Controlling prices were the bad, right? Control prices were bad, whether it is maximum minimum price. Then what happened? 77 government. So people were so depressed, right? 77 people had another option, then another party came to power, right? Like that, people didn't like. People they suffer. People suffered a lot during that period. It doesn't matter. It's a government policy. Government had a intention, different intention, but people were suffered. Then they changed the government, right? So the control prices. Control prices. You simply say you all are good. You all are good. You don't have any experience about the control prices. You say simply say good. Price is good. Other thing is price controls. You say it won't. There will be disincentive effect to the suppliers. Why should you produce? Why should you sell, right? Why should you produce paddy? Sorry, another consumer good. Why should we sell this item? There is no incentive. You are the market price, market determined price. At the market prices, they are happy. At the same time, there is an incentive package is good. When they control, suppliers discourage. Even you use our resources, and if you produce these things, we have to sell that at the control price. Why should we produce? People are discouraged. Suppliers are discouraged in this, in the control price, in the market, goods market. Discouraged, right? Disincentive effect will be there. Right? Okay. Now these are the control prices. Free market. Earlier we discussed free market. All free market. All free market. No control. Now we discuss two types of control prices: maximum price, minimum price. Right? You 2-3 minutes and give me the answers to this one. 5 minutes. Go through and indicate the correct answer. Ceiling price should be imposed above below the market clearing price. Floor price should be imposed above below the market clearing price. What are the negative effects of price control? Give these reasons, 3 reasons each for and against the policy of price control. Okay. I'll give you 5 minutes. This is an easy question. Ceiling price should be imposed. Ceiling price is the maximum price. Imposed above or below the market clearing price. Yes? Above or below the market clearing price. Ceiling price? When government impose below. Good.
Below.
Why is that? They assume market clearing price is very high. Some people cannot afford. Then government put a cap below that. Maximum price. That is the objective of controlling price control, ceiling price. Floor price should be imposed, of course. Yes, it is above the market clearing price. Why? Yes, right, above. Why is that? Market clearing price is very low during the harvesting period, paddy. Then government say, okay, no, you can't buy paddy at a very low price. This is the official price, guaranteed price scheme. It is above the market clearing price. What are the negative effects of price controls? We discussed. You can write down the black markets, hoarding, disincentive effect. Disincentive, it does not discourage the suppliers in some markets, right? So you don't want to work hard. Sorry?
there can be oversupply or a shortage of goods in the market, which
Yes,
exaggerates the situation.
correct. That's right. Oversupply of the good market in the market. Yeah, in the case of the floor prices, there can be oversupply because the farmers are happy. Farmers are willing to supply more. There will be oversupply. If the oversupply is not cleared, excess supply is not cleared, again price will come back to this the normal price level. Yes. Oversupply means again it's some inefficiency component is there. Because the people thinks okay we can sell price paddy at 50 rupees. They produce more and more. If they give something like if you give a subsidized price for the fertilizer, people want to supply more and more the paddy. Overuse of that, right? That is another example. So yeah, you are right. There can be oversupply. Oversupply means when you say oversupply, it is the over and above the required level, equilibrium level. Then oversupply. That means inefficiency will be there. Inefficient allocation of resources will be there. The requirement is 1,000 kilograms at the market clearing level. You supply 1,200. That is inefficiency for supply. Yes. Give three reasons each for and against the policy of price control, because the policy of price control, main objective of the price control in the case of maximum price, protect the consumers intention. In the case of the minimum price, protect the suppliers. Very good intention. But you like that you can tell me, for example, in Sri Lanka now we have earlier around 1970 to 70, almost all the consumer items had control price. Nowadays, very few items, I think Panadol like that, very few medical items have the control prices. Very few, right? Very few items have that. I think the good thing happened during last government, previous government. Actually, they had the control price for this some of the medicines. Some of the medicines used by this non-communicable diseases like diabetics, pressure, the cholesterol level, to control those level, people continuously, frequently use tablets. They were expensive. Previous government, that was a very good decision. They put the control price. Now they have this one. Then they have a control price. That was a good maximum price was there. Good decision, good policy implemented by the previous government, previous Minister of Health, right? In the previous government, right? So like that, but still, it is the items are very low. Medical items are there. Other than that, there's no control prices. Remember, this is an important thing: imposition and the implementation. Imposition is we all are maybe sometimes we all agree theoretically. Protect consumers, protect farmers. Then suppliers. Implementation, in the implementation stage will be costly. Huge cost will be there. Therefore, we can have an argument against these control prices. Don't impose prices. It's useless. It's a meaningless thing. If you cannot implement, people are not benefited. Something like that. Okay. Think about it. That I ask this question from every class. For imposing, controlling the prices, right? But I myself only have to argue against that. The control prices are bad. Free market is good, right? For some items, extremely some cases, yes, right? Not across the board. All the items prices should not be controlled, right? This is the last session. Actually, we have another. We have some more time. I'll be introduction to the other one. Yeah. So next lesson is about related to this theory of demand, the effect of price and income on demand quantities. The effect of price, and I will give the introduction to this one. We know demand curve is downward sloping. when other factors are held constant. Supply curve is upward slope when other factors are held constant. Let's say demand curve, you can say, you all know when other factors are held constant, when higher the price, lesser is the quantity demanded. That's true. Sometimes one can say, okay, I know the law of demand. I know there's a negative relationship between price and quantity demand. But I want to know if price increases by 10%, by how much quantity demanded decreases? More than 10%? Less than 10%? Quantification. Generally, you can say, I know law of demand. I know law of supply. I know there's a negative relationship between price and quantity demand. But I just want to know if price increased by 10%, by how much quantity demanded decrease? Or price decreased by 10%, by how much consumers increase quantity demanded, percentage-wise. Supply also. If price increases by the 10%, by how much suppliers increase their quantity supplied, percentage-wise. In other words, in this lesson, we are going to discuss quantification of law of demand, quantification of supply side, elasticity, concept of elasticity. Sometimes when price increased by 10%, consumers will cut down demand more than 10%. Elastic demand, highly sensitive. Sometimes, so some goods, when price increased by 10%, consumer don't cut down that much. Consumers might cut down the demand by 2%. Inelastic, not that much of sensitive. Price, essential items, people don't cut down. Some items, with the drugs, medicine for insulin, whatever the price, you have to buy the same quantity. You have to consume, take the same number of pills, no? One in the morning, one in the afternoon, night, right? Then whatever the price, you have to buy the same quantity, same number of quantity. Then they are price inelastic. Some goods price inelastic. Some goods price elastic. Consumer response is very high when price changes. Some are price inelastic. Consumer response is slow. Cigarettes, liquor, price, when price changes for a given change in price. Some other goods, no change, no way to change the quantities when price changes. Insulin, but because I am on actual example from my experience, I am on diabetes, right? I have to take, earlier I took 2 pills. Now I have to take this, it has come down to the 1, right, at night. Every day I have to take, right? Sometimes I can't remember this one. Then my good wife, every day she put medicine, this and other some medicine after my meal, dinner. So take this one. So still I forgot to get that, right? Okay. So inelastic demand, whatever the price, if it is 40 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees. Otherwise, substitution for insulin, taking insulin, maybe death. You don't know, right? No substitution. But so, until your death, you have to take this medicine, for the cholesterol, for pressure. Sometimes some people take lifetime medicine. These are the things. So, depending on the consumer's response, intensity of response, we classify goods. Some goods have elastic demand. Some goods have inelastic demand. Consumer response is very slow. So consumer don't. Some other good consumer don't respond at all. Then price changes. Inelastic. Perfectly inelastic demand. Relatively inelastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand. 4 types of goods. In this lesson, we are going to study the measure of elasticity. The elasticity is a concept used to describe the responsiveness of reaction, consumer response. of consumers and producers to change in price and income. Basically, there are 4 such measures of elasticity. Price elasticity of demand, PD. Notations, maybe some textbook, different textbooks use different notation, not to worry. Sometimes you are familiar with different notation, for A levels or degree or the chartered. So different notation, right? I use some other textbook. These are the notations. Income elasticity of demand, IED. Cross price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of supply. All measure the consumer's response. The first 3 are measures of consumers' response to changes in price and income. PD, IED, CPED. Last one, price elasticity of supply is the measures the producer's response to price change. Understand? We are going to discuss 4 measures. So you have to have a good knowledge about how to calculate this, how to apply the formula to calculate these the elasticities, interpretation, how to interpret these elasticities. In the case of price elasticity of demand, what are the factors that determine the value? So in this case, you have some value, -4, -3, -0.3, right? Then what are the factors? Some goods elastic, some goods inelastic demand, some have perfectly inelastic demand. So what are the determinants of price elasticity of demand? That also we are going to study this one. Then obvious question, always in economy we ask the question, what are the uses of these measures? Who use? Are they practical? For what purposes they are using? Sometimes some calculation, you think your long calculations, nobody is using. Why men we are using calculating these things, right? Same question is asked from this one, price elasticity of demand, income elasticity. Who are the users? Users of these measures. Yes, sometimes the policymakers use, treasury people use, the Minister of Finance is used intuitively. They use the knowledge about the elasticity, right? So that they can take some decision with regard to taxation. Now these are the things we are going to discuss. Basically 4 measures: calculation, definitions, interpretation, and then factors that affect these values, elasticity, and the users. PD, first one, price elasticity of demand. PD is the responsiveness of demand to small changes in price. If demand changes by large proportion as a result of price change, demand is said to be relatively elastic. Price changes by 1%. Quantity demand, this is quantity demand, delta Q is D. You have to put D. Demand changes by 3%. Price increases by 1%. People cut down the demand by 3%. Or price decreased by 1%. People increase the demand by 3%. Highly elastic, relatively elastic. Next one. If demand changes by a large proportion as a result of demand is no, this is wrong. This should be small. Next one. First one is large. That is correct. Second one, if demand changes by a small proportion. Please cut. There's a typo. Small proportion as a result of a price change. Demand is said to be relatively inelastic. Please indicate that. Cut that and put the I believe you can change on the screen, or you can take the photocopy and change that, right? I will try to change this one. I don't think I can change this one now. Yeah, this is PDF, no? Yeah. If demand changes by a small proportion as a result of price change, price increases by 1%, demand changes by 0.6%, relatively inelastic. Your price decreased by 1%, quantity demand increased by 0.6%, less than the price change, relatively inelastic. Now these are 2 good diagrams. Demand curve. First one is relatively elastic. If price changes y-axis, let's say 1%, quantity demand at x-axis, this distance more than that one, y-axis change. more than relatively elastic demand. Inelastic demand, this distance y-axis change, small, large than the, higher than the x-axis change, relatively inelastic demand. Price changes by 1%, quantity demand changes by 0.6%. Here price changes by 1%, quantity demand changes by 3%. Percentage. This is interesting. I said inelastic demand. Whatever the price change, people will buy the quantity, same quantity. In my example, this is the demand for insulin, right? The demand for insulin or demand for some pressure tablets, demand for cholesterol tablet, controlling cholesterol tablet, right? Whatever the price, perfectly inelastic. Demand curve is vertical. Earlier one, demand curve is flatter, relatively elastic, flatter. Demand curve is steeper, inelastic demand, steep, flatter. Then this one is demand curve is perfectly elastic, means vertical. Perfectly inelastic. Perfect elastic, horizontal demand. I want you to put P and Q, and here also PQ, 1% change, 3% change, 1% change, 0.6% change. Right? Now definition. Formula. Well, here we are going to calculate some number. Excuse me. Good mommy class. Oh, hey. Right. Mom. Oh, mantap podi kata karena ya bagi itu right. Okay. Then PD is defined as a percentage change. Now the formula. Now here we are going to discuss, calculate some number. -2, -3, sometimes +3, +4 income elasticity. Like that, 0, some number. Okay, to calculate this number, you need a formula. To define a formula, you need some definition. Have a formula. Definition. So now you have to define formula. Give the formula, and using this formula, you can calculate elasticity. PD, price elasticity of demand, number 1 concept. Defined as the percentage change in quantity demanded resulted by a 1% change in the price of that good. For example, formula is this: percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. That is the formula. Same thing written in a small box. Percentage, delta stands for change, quantity demanded. Denominator, percentage, delta, change. Delta stands for change. Price. Now this the formula below, and the same formula, percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Percentage delta QD divided by percentage delta P. That is the formula. Now what will happen? Suppose price changes by 1%, delta P1. If perfectly inelastic demand, no change in quantity demanded, 0. 0 divided by 1. Price elasticity of demand is 0. Perfectly inelastic demand, PD 0. PD 0. Perfectly inelastic demand. Demand curve is vertical. Vertical. This one. Price changes by 1%, no change in quantity. Therefore, 0 divided by 1. Answer is 0. Perfectly inelastic demand, elasticity 0. PD 0. Next one. Relatively inelastic. If price changes by 1%, suppose demand price increased by 1%, demand decreases by 0.5%. Price increases by 1%. Demand, consumer response is very slow. Demand decreases by 0.5. That is negative. Price increases positive. This is negative. Therefore, price elastic demand is negative. 0.5 minus percentage change 1. 0.5 minus divided by percentage change 1. Price. That is minus 0.5, relatively inelastic. Relatively inelastic. Second one, relatively inelastic. 0.5, 1%. Unitary elastic. 1%. Price increase by 1%. Quantity demand change decrease by 1%. Price decrease by 1%. Quantity demand increase by 1%. That is called unitary elastic. Unitary elastic. Shape of the demand curve for the unitary price demand is, we call, mathematically speaking, it is called the rectangular hyperbola. Rectangular hyperbola means it's a U-shaped curve. Rectangular hyperbola. Take down that. I will draw this again. Rectangular hyperbola. It's not a straight line. Hyperbola. Rectangular hyperbola. Unitary elastic. Third one, fourth one is relatively inelastic. Price changes by 1%. Quantity demanded changes by 1.5%. 1.5 divided by 1. More than the price change. Price changes by 1%. Quantity demanded changes by 1.5. Relatively elastic demand. This one. Relatively elastic demand. Price quantity demand changes more than the price change. Other one is perfectly elastic. Price changes by 1%. Quantity demand changes infinitely large amount. That is called perfectly elastic. Demand curve is horizontal. Put the demand curve here. Demand vertical, demand horizontal, demand steep, demand flatter. Demand curve flatter, elastic, inelastic. Now you can understand the meaning of elasticity and relationship between elasticity, price elasticity, and the demand curve. Different shapes of the demand curve. Elasticity has a direct relationship to the shape of the demand curve. Some goods have elastic demand, relatively elastic demand. Some other goods, relatively inelastic demand. Some goods have perfectly inelastic demand. Some have perfectly elastic demand. Like that. I can stop now. Yes, exactly, 12:29. I will stop now. Next week, we'll continue with this lesson. Please start reading this the lesson and the earlier one. I will give a quiz number two, no? Number two next week. Quiz number 2, and we continue this lesson again, right? Lesson again. Okay. We'll stop now. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello. We'll stop now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you next week. Same time. Wait. We have an additional class coming Wednesday. Additional same time. That is an announcement. Same time. 10:30 to 12:30. Additional class. Next class will be on Wednesday. Wednesday is a holiday, no? When is a holiday? Is Wednesday holiday? Office said that it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Wednesday we have the. It is a Wednesday, no? Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Wednesday, yes. Wednesday we have class. Wednesday we have additional class from 10:30 to 12:30. So see you all on Wednesday, same time. Okay. Thank you.